What makes someone a monster? Is it a genetic predisposition, a series of unfortunate events, or the choices they make along the way? Few characters in K-drama history embody this question as deeply and disturbingly as Jung Ba-reum from Mouse. At first glance, Jung Ba-reum is the perfect cop, compassionate, dedicated, and driven by a desire to protect the innocent. But beneath that seemingly noble exterior lies a harrowing truth. He is a predator in every sense of the word, a man who has taken lives in brutal, calculated ways. Yet Mouse refuses to offer a simple villain versus hero narrative. Instead, it crafts a complex psychological portrait that forces us to question the boundaries between good and evil, punishment and redemption, nature and nurture. What makes Ba-reum's story so compelling is not just the twist of his true identity, but the emotional and moral struggle that follows. He becomes a living paradox. A man with the memories of a killer but the emotions of someone genuinely desperate for salvation. Is his desire for redemption a result of his newfound guilt, or is it just another layer of manipulation from a man who has always known how to play people? In this video, we'll dissect Jung Ba-reum's journey, exploring how his duality challenges our understanding of morality. From his role as a seemingly perfect citizen to his descent into a conflicted predator grappling with guilt, we'll examine the key moments and psychological complexities that make him one of K-drama's most unforgettable characters. And by the end, we'll confront the question at the heart of his journey: is redemption ever truly possible for someone who's walked in the shoes of a monster? Jung Ba-reum initially embodies the very definition of a model citizen, a kind, empathetic, and selfless police officer who genuinely seems devoted to justice. His warm demeanor, reliability, and thoughtful approach to his duties earn him the admiration of his colleagues and the affection of his community. But what truly makes Ba-reum so compelling in the early episodes is not just his competence as a cop but the depth of the relationships he nurtures. These connections reinforce his image as a person of integrity and compassion, even as they subtly foreshadow the complexity beneath. With Bonnie, Ba-reum's protective and nurturing bond with Bonnie stands out as one of his most defining relationships. He takes on a guardian-like role, comforting her in moments of distress and prioritizing her safety above his own. His gentle reassurances and acts of kindness make him a rare source of stability in her troubled life. With Muchi, Ba-reum forms a camaraderie with Detective Muchi, the hot-headed but sharp investigator. Despite Muchi's rough edges, Ba-reum often serves as a calming influence, balancing Muchi's aggression with rational thinking. This partnership feels genuine, with Ba-reum often stepping in to help without seeking recognition. With the community, whether it's helping neighbors with small errands or playing with children, Ba-reum seems like the guy you'd want living next door. These minor but meaningful moments cement his image as a pillar of decency and reliability. Ba-reum's outward goodness is almost saint-like, a fact that makes the eventual revelation of his true nature all the more unsettling. His relationships are genuine from the perspective of those around him, but they also highlight an unnerving psychological element: Ba-reum's ability to seamlessly mimic human warmth without truly understanding it. Moreover, these relationships provide a fascinating contrast to the predator lurking within him. When viewed in hindsight, his interactions with Bonnie and Muchi take on an eerie undertone. Was his kindness instinctual, or was it a performance rooted in social conditioning? Ba-reum's perceived goodness becomes a lens through which we examine societal biases. Viewers, much like the characters around him, are quick to project virtue onto him because he fits the mold of a trustworthy figure, a diligent cop, a protective friend, and a reliable neighbor. This creates a psychological dissonance that the show masterfully exploits when the mask eventually falls. The turning point in Jung Ba-reum's character arc comes with the shattering realization of his true identity, the infamous predator killer. This moment is devastating not only for Ba-reum but also for viewers, who are forced to reconcile the seemingly perfect citizen with the brutal truth of his past. But this reveal is more than just a plot twist. It's a recontextualization of everything we've witnessed up until this point, forcing a deeper exploration of nature, nurture, and identity. Key moments include flashbacks of his murders. Ba-reum's memories begin to surface after his brain surgery, showing cold and calculated killings devoid of any remorse. The vivid details and horrifying precision of these memories stand in stark contrast to his warm demeanor as a cop. Initially, viewers and Ba-reum alike struggle to accept these revelations, leading to a complex battle for self-awareness. Childhood experiments and the predator gene. We learn that Ba-reum was part of an unethical experiment designed to study individuals with the so-called predator gene. This revelation blurs the line between nature and nurture, suggesting that his violent tendencies may have been hardwired from the start. The brain surgery seems to act as a trigger, amplifying those dormant instincts rather than creating them. The brain surgery as a catalyst. Post-surgery, Ba-reum becomes a fragmented character, a battleground between inherited violence and a desperate desire to remain good. This transformation challenges traditional ideas of identity, raising unsettling questions about morality, choice, and biology. The reveal forces viewers to confront an unsettling question: was Ba-reum's goodness ever real, or was it always a facade? Unlike traditional portrayals of villains who embrace their darkness, Ba-reum's story is one of confusion, guilt, and self-loathing. His internal struggle becomes a psychological battlefield where the perfect citizen clashes with the remorseless killer. Moreover, the flashbacks recontextualize many earlier scenes. Acts that once seemed selfless and heroic are now tinged with a chilling ambiguity. For example, Ba-reum's intense focus during investigations initially appears to be dedication, but in retrospect, it carries the eerie precision of a predator stalking its prey. His seemingly protective behavior toward Bangi takes on a dual meaning. Was it driven by genuine concern or a subconscious need to control those around him? The writers of Mouse deliberately toy with the audience's expectations by setting up Ba-reum as a stereotypical K-drama protagonist. Kind, brave, and morally upright, only to dismantle that image entirely. This subversion not only makes the reveal shocking but also forces viewers to question their own assumptions about morality and redemption. The brain surgery itself becomes a narrative device that heightens the show's exploration of identity. Rather than simply turning Ba-reum into a monster, it brings to the surface a complex, fractured persona that defies easy categorization. The brilliance of this storytelling lies in its refusal to offer simple answers. Ba-reum's transformation is not black and white but a deeply unsettling shade of gray. Ba-reum's arc taps into the timeless nature versus nurture debate. The recurring theme of the predator gene plays on societal fears about determinism. Is someone born a monster, or does society create one? Ba-reum's journey challenges viewers to grapple with whether individuals with dark impulses can truly choose a different path, or if those instincts will always prevail. His character also serves as a critique of society's obsession with labeling people based on biology or past behavior. In Mouse, morality becomes fluid, and the audience is left to question whether Ba-reum deserves empathy or condemnation. At the heart of Mouse lies a provocative exploration of whether Jung Ba-reum is inherently a monster or a product of his environment and manipulation. The show refuses to provide a straightforward answer, instead placing viewers in a moral gray zone where biology, psychological conditioning, and societal expectations intertwine. Ba-reum's journey becomes a psychological experiment in itself, one that forces us to question the limits of self-control and the role of external influences in shaping identity. Genetic predisposition. Ba-reum's story introduces the concept of the predator gene, a controversial marker that supposedly predisposes individuals to violent, sociopathic behavior. The discovery that Ba-reum carries this gene casts a chilling shadow over his seemingly idyllic persona. It implies that the capacity for violence has always been lurking within him. Early indicators. Even as a child, Ba-reum exhibited signs of a disturbed psyche. In one haunting instance, he cut open a rabbit, not out of malice but out of curiosity to see if it was pregnant, or had simply gained weight. This unsettling moment highlights a detachment from normal emotional responses, suggesting an analytical and predatory mindset. Coping through self-harm. Perhaps the most telling early indicator is Ba-reum's habit of scratching his arm. When confronted by a teacher, he admits that he's annoyed by the other children but can't take it out on them, so he takes it out on himself. This response reveals a disturbing self-awareness. He knows he has violent impulses but consciously suppresses them, redirecting that aggression inward. Family and moral distortion. Ba-reum's upbringing was marred by manipulative and morally dubious figures who twisted his understanding of right and wrong. His aunt and uncle, in particular, instilled a warped sense of justice, subtly reinforcing the idea that violence could be justified under certain circumstances. Manipulation to awaken the monster. As an adult, Ba-reum was deliberately manipulated by those aware of his genetic predisposition. Through psychological and situational triggers, they sought to break down his self-control and awaken the predator within. These manipulations reveal that while Ba-reum may have had violent tendencies, his environment played a significant role in unleashing them. Post-surgery emotional awakening. Ironically, it is after receiving Johan's brain that Ba-reum begins to experience genuine emotions, including guilt, empathy, and horror at his past actions. This shift suggests that nurture, in the form of newfound emotional awareness, can temper even the darkest tendencies. Caught between nature and nurture, Ba-reum becomes a living embodiment of the debate. His journey is not just a struggle for redemption but a desperate quest to understand who he truly is. Was his previous goodness ever real, or was it merely a socially conditioned facade? And if he was manipulated into becoming a killer, does that absolve him of guilt? This duality is what makes Ba-reum's character so compelling. Unlike traditional anti-heroes who embrace their darkness, Ba-reum's arc is one of rejection and confusion. He doesn't want to be a monster, but can he ever fully separate himself from that part of his nature? Ba-reum's story is a powerful commentary on the complex interplay between biology and environment. What I find fascinating is that Mouse doesn't let viewers off the hook with easy answers. Instead, it asks us to confront uncomfortable questions about accountability, free will, and whether someone with a dark past can ever truly change. The genius of Ba-reum's character lies in his ambiguity. He isn't just a predator, nor is he merely a victim of manipulation, he's both. His internal struggle forces us to question our assumptions about morality and redemption. In the end, Mouse doesn't ask us to forgive Ba-reum, it asks us to understand him. And that makes his journey unforgettable. The revelation of Jung Ba-reum as the true predator marks a profound turning point in Mouse. The man who once seemed the embodiment of justice and compassion is now forced to confront the horrifying weight of his own crimes. Yet, rather than fully embracing his monstrous identity, Ba-reum embarks on a tormented journey of self-discovery and redemption, one fraught with denial, anguish, and unsettling attempts at atonement. His arc raises complex questions about guilt, forgiveness, and whether true redemption is even possible. When fragmented memories of his atrocities resurface, Ba-reum desperately clings to the belief that Johan's brain is to blame for his newfound violent urges and heightened investigative instincts. This self-deception becomes his psychological defense mechanism, allowing him to maintain the fragile illusion that he was once a good person. Ba-reum's denial reflects a deeper conflict, the need to reconcile his public image as a righteous police officer with the emerging truth of his predatory nature. This struggle highlights the difficulty of confronting one's inner darkness when it shatters deeply ingrained notions of morality and self-identity. As his memories become clearer, Ba-reum experiences vivid and harrowing flashbacks to his killings. These aren't passive recollections but visceral relivings that haunt him. The emotional toll pushes him into a spiral of self-loathing and despair. The very instincts that once made him an effective predator now torment him. In one of the series' most poignant moments, Ba-reum seeks solace in a church, pleading with God to prevent him from succumbing to his monstrous impulses again. His desperation underscores a yearning for salvation even as he grapples with whether he is beyond redemption. The scene blurs the line between spiritual confession and psychological breakdown. Ba-reum's initial response to his guilt is to channel his violence toward what he perceives as a noble cause, eliminating dangerous criminals. However, this path only further entangles him in a cycle of violence. His actions blur the line between justice and vengeance, suggesting that he is still operating from a place of unresolved moral ambiguity. His interactions with Bonnie become particularly significant during this phase. Haunted by guilt over the harm he has caused her, Ba-reum tries to protect her, even though he knows he is undeserving of her forgiveness. These moments hint at a spark of humanity struggling to survive within him, albeit fractured and fragile. In the ultimate act of self-awareness, Ba-reum willingly turns himself in, fully acknowledging his crimes. This decision is a crucial turning point. It marks his acceptance of accountability rather than hiding behind justifications. Yet, his willingness to face execution raises the question of whether he is genuinely seeking redemption or simply seeking escape from the torment of guilt. Ba-reum's journey leaves viewers questioning whether his actions are driven by a sincere desire for redemption or a subconscious need to punish himself. His readiness to face death for his crimes can be seen as an attempt to escape the emotional torment that has consumed him. Death, in this context, becomes a form of self-imposed penance rather than a path toward meaningful redemption. Ba-reum's newfound empathy and remorse complicate the audience's perception of him. The drama refuses to provide a clear answer to whether he deserves forgiveness, forcing viewers to grapple with an uncomfortable truth: redemption may not be possible, or even deserved, simply because someone feels guilt. Ba-reum's arc ultimately reflects Mouse's exploration of moral ambiguity and the human capacity for change. His journey challenges viewers to confront difficult questions. Can someone who has committed unspeakable acts ever be redeemed? Is remorse enough, or must redemption be earned through ongoing sacrifice and accountability? And perhaps most disturbingly, if a monster can feel guilt and love, does that make them any less monstrous? Jung Ba-reum's journey in Mouse offers a chilling and deeply philosophical exploration of morality, identity, and the human capacity for change. From a model police officer to a ruthless predator, and ultimately a tormented figure seeking redemption, his transformation defies simplistic notions of good and evil. What makes his arc so compelling is its reflection of human nature itself, where even those consumed by darkness can yearn for light, however faint it may be. Ba-reum's story is inherently tragic. His capacity for love and kindness was genuine, but so was his potential for unspeakable cruelty. Even in his most earnest attempts to suppress the monster within, it lurked just beneath the surface, ready to re-emerge. The true tragedy lies in the what-ifs. Had he not been shaped by his aunt's twisted upbringing or burdened by genetic predispositions, might he have lived a life defined by compassion rather than violence? Or was the monster always part of him, waiting for a catalyst? This duality makes Ba-reum a character both pitiable and terrifying, embodying the uncomfortable truth that good and evil often coexist within the same soul. One of Mouse's most provocative themes is the balance between culpability and circumstance. Ba-reum was manipulated, conditioned, and biologically predisposed to violence, but none of these factors absolve him of his choices. His decision to turn himself in marks a critical moment of self-awareness. By doing so, Ba-reum accepts that accountability is not a matter of external judgment, but an internal reckoning with one's own guilt. Yet the question lingers: is accountability enough? Can a person atone for atrocities simply by admitting guilt and facing punishment, or are some sins beyond redemption? Ba-reum's plea to God remains one of the drama's most significant and haunting moments. Muchi's desperate question, did God give the monster emotions to punish him, or to save him, captures the essence of his inner torment. Was his newfound empathy a divine gift intended to redeem him, or a cruel punishment designed to magnify his suffering by making him feel the weight of his sins? This theological dilemma leaves the audience grappling with their own interpretations of forgiveness and grace. Ba-reum's journey suggests that redemption may not be about divine intervention but rather about the courage to face oneself, no matter how monstrous that self may be. Ultimately, Ba-reum's story forces viewers to confront the uncomfortable truth that monsters are not born overnight. They are shaped by biology, environment, trauma, and perhaps most importantly, choices. Mouse does not offer simple answers but instead asks us to examine how society molds individuals, and whether it bears some responsibility for the monsters it creates. If given a chance to start over, free from manipulation and genetic predispositions, could Jung Ba-reum have escaped the monster within? Or is the monster an indelible part of human nature that, once awakened, can never truly be silenced? By refusing to provide easy answers, Mouse leaves us with a chilling yet profound reminder. Redemption is a path fraught with pain, uncertainty, and perhaps the most difficult task of all, truly facing oneself.